In this first episode, we begin by looking at why the Certified Information Security Manager, CISM, certification matters and what it represents for people who want to grow into security leadership. For someone who is brand new to cybersecurity, the name alone can sound a little intimidating because it seems to suggest a credential meant only for experienced executives in large companies. The better way to think about it is as a professional marker that shows a person understands how security should be managed at an organizational level, not just how individual technical problems get fixed. That distinction matters because many people enter cybersecurity by learning tools, alerts, systems, and defensive tasks, but over time they discover that strong security depends just as much on decision-making, communication, priorities, risk judgment, and business alignment as it does on technical skill. CISM sits in that space. It helps learners understand that security is not only about stopping attackers, but also about helping an organization protect what matters in a way that supports its goals, responsibilities, and long-term stability. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyberauthor.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A useful starting point is to separate the idea of security management from the idea of technical security work because beginners often mix those together. Technical security work usually focuses on specific actions such as monitoring systems, reviewing logs, responding to suspicious behavior, or improving the security of devices, applications, and networks. Security management is broader and more strategic. It focuses on deciding what needs protection most, determining how much risk an organization can accept, making sure policies and priorities are clear, coordinating people across departments, and ensuring security efforts actually support the business instead of fighting against it. A person studying CISM is learning to think at that higher level. That does not mean the certification ignores technical reality, because managers still need to understand how security functions in practice. It means the center of gravity is different. The main concern is not how to configure a device or inspect a packet, but how to create a program, guide decisions, and help the organization move from scattered defensive activity toward organized, repeatable, accountable security. That shift in perspective is one of the biggest benefits of learning about CISM, especially early in a cybersecurity journey. Many new learners assume they must first become deep specialists in every technical area before they can understand management concepts. In reality, learning management-oriented security thinking can make technical topics easier to organize in your mind. Instead of seeing cybersecurity as a giant pile of unrelated tools and threats, you start seeing why certain controls exist, how leaders choose where to invest time and money, and why some risks receive urgent attention while others are handled more gradually. You begin to recognize that every security action serves a larger purpose. A password rule, an access review, a backup process, or a security awareness campaign is not valuable only because it exists. It is valuable because it supports a bigger goal such as confidentiality, integrity, availability, resilience, trust, or legal responsibility. CISM helps learners connect those dots, and that way of thinking is valuable even before someone holds a management title. Another important benefit is that CISM gives a clearer picture of what mature security work looks like inside real organizations. Beginners often encounter cybersecurity through headlines, attack stories, or technical demonstrations, which can create the impression that the field is mostly about reacting to emergencies. Real security programs absolutely deal with incidents, but strong organizations do much more than react. They plan, govern, assess, prioritize, communicate, and improve. They define responsibilities, build processes, review risks, and align security work with business objectives. CISM emphasizes this more mature view. It shows that good security is not a random collection of alarms and fixes. It is a managed capability that must be designed, supported, measured, and improved over time. That is valuable because it prevents new learners from developing a narrow view of the profession. It teaches that security leadership is not about being the person who knows the most commands or the most jargon. It is about helping an organization make better decisions before, during, and after security challenges. For that reason, one of the strongest advantages of the certification is how it frames security as a business issue rather than only a technical issue. Some people hear the word business and assume that means money alone, but the idea is much broader. Every organization has goals, obligations, stakeholders, limits, and consequences. A hospital cares about patient safety and trust. A bank cares about financial integrity, customer confidence, and regulatory expectations. A manufacturer cares about operational continuity, supply chain reliability, and intellectual property. Security leaders must understand these realities because security choices affect all of them. CISM helps learners recognize that security does not happen in isolation. It lives inside a larger organization with priorities, politics, budgets, deadlines, and competing pressures. When a security professional understands that environment, their recommendations become more useful and more realistic. Instead of asking for controls because they sound impressive, they can explain why a control matters, what risk it addresses, what trade-offs it introduces, and how it supports the mission of the organization. That business focus also helps explain why the certification is often respected by employers. Organizations are not only looking for people who can identify a technical weakness. They also need people who can explain risk in plain language, influence decisions, build consensus, and help leadership understand what action is reasonable. A security problem is rarely solved by technical facts alone. Someone has to communicate clearly, justify priorities, and guide action among teams that may have very different concerns. Senior leaders may worry about cost, downtime, reputation, legal exposure, customer trust, or strategic timing. Technical teams may worry about complexity, workload, compatibility, or operational disruption. CISM signals that a person is working toward the ability to bridge those worlds. That does not mean every certified person is automatically a great leader, but it does mean the certification is built around knowledge areas that matter in leadership settings. For beginners, that is encouraging because it shows there is a path in cybersecurity that rewards judgment, clarity, and organizational awareness, not just technical depth. It is also helpful to understand what kinds of roles this certification tends to support, because that gives the title more meaning. The word manager can make some learners imagine only a formal boss with direct reports, budget authority, and a big office, but the underlying ideas apply more broadly. Many people influence security without holding a classic manager title. They may lead projects, coordinate cross-functional work, advise leadership, support risk decisions, or help shape policies and processes. CISM knowledge is relevant in those situations because it teaches how to think about governance, risk, incident handling, and program development in a coordinated way. Over time, that can support movement into roles such as security manager, governance leader, risk advisor, security program lead, or other positions where decision-making and organizational alignment matter. For a beginner, the value is not that the certification instantly creates authority. The value is that it points toward the kinds of responsibilities that define mature security leadership and helps the learner understand what those responsibilities actually involve. Another benefit is that studying CISM encourages a healthier understanding of risk, which is one of the most important concepts in cybersecurity. New learners sometimes think security success means preventing every bad thing from happening. That is understandable, but it is not realistic. No organization has unlimited money, unlimited people, or unlimited time. No system can be perfectly secure, and no decision eliminates uncertainty forever. Security leaders therefore spend much of their time thinking about risk, which means thinking about what could go wrong, how likely it is, how serious the impact could be, what controls already exist, and what response makes sense. CISM supports this mindset by treating security as an exercise in judgment rather than fantasy. The goal is not perfection. The goal is informed, reasonable, repeatable decision-making that reduces exposure to an acceptable level while supporting the mission of the organization. For brand new students, that is a major conceptual shift, and it can make the entire field feel more logical and less overwhelming. That same risk-centered mindset helps correct another common misconception, which is the belief that cybersecurity is mainly about technology products. Beginners are often surrounded by vendor messages, product names, and promises that a new platform will solve critical problems. Technology absolutely matters, and effective tools can improve visibility, consistency, and response. Even so, tools do not create a sound security program by themselves. A tool in the wrong environment, with unclear ownership and weak processes, can become an expensive source of noise instead of protection. CISM teaches a more disciplined view. Security outcomes depend on people, processes, governance, communication, and accountability in addition to technology. If leaders do not know who owns a risk, who responds to incidents, who approves exceptions, or how priorities are set, then even very advanced technology may not help much. For new learners, this is a powerful lesson because it prevents them from chasing flashy solutions without understanding the foundation that makes those solutions useful in the first place. The certification also has practical career value because it helps a person stand out as someone who is thinking beyond isolated tasks. In many professions, credentials serve as one signal among many. They do not replace experience, character, communication ability, or good judgment, but they can show direction and seriousness. CISM is particularly meaningful because it points toward leadership-oriented knowledge. Someone who pursues it is showing interest in governance, program development, incident oversight, and risk-based decision-making. Employers often pay attention to that because organizations need security professionals who can mature programs, not just keep systems running from day to day. For people already working in related fields such as audit, compliance, operations, support, or general information technology, the certification can also serve as a bridge into more formal security responsibilities. For absolute beginners, it can function as a roadmap. Even if they are not yet ready for every aspect of the credential, the subject matter shows what they will need to understand if they want to grow into positions that influence how security is led. There is also a confidence benefit that is easy to overlook but very real for new students. Cybersecurity can feel fragmented when you first enter it. One conversation is about attackers, another is about regulations, another is about policies, another is about outages, and another is about training employees not to click suspicious links. Without a framework, those topics can feel unrelated. CISM helps organize them. It teaches that security governance, risk management, program development, and incident response are connected parts of a larger discipline. That does not make the material simple, but it does make it easier to follow. When learners see how the pieces fit together, they become more confident in discussions with peers, managers, and other stakeholders. They start to understand why certain questions matter. Who owns this process? What business goal is affected? What risk is being accepted? How will success be measured? That growing clarity is valuable because confidence in cybersecurity often comes less from memorizing everything and more from knowing how to think about problems in a structured way. Another reason CISM is beneficial is that it encourages communication skills that matter across every stage of a career. Security professionals frequently need to explain serious issues to people who are not security specialists. That can include executives, auditors, project managers, legal staff, operations teams, human resources personnel, and business leaders. Each group cares about security, but each one sees it through a different lens. If a security professional can only speak in technical language, important messages may fail to land. CISM supports a communication style built around clarity, risk, consequence, and action. It teaches the learner to frame issues in ways that help organizations respond intelligently. A weak control is not just a technical flaw. It may create exposure to financial loss, service disruption, legal complications, or damage to trust. An incident is not just an alert. It is an event that may affect customers, operations, and decision-making at the highest levels. Understanding how to communicate that kind of impact is one of the quiet but significant strengths associated with this certification path. It is important, though, to keep expectations realistic. A certification is not magic, and CISM does not turn someone into an experienced security leader overnight. It cannot substitute for learning how real organizations work, making difficult decisions under pressure, or developing professional judgment through practice and reflection. What it can do is provide a respected framework for thinking about security management responsibilities and a credible way to demonstrate commitment to those areas. For a beginner, That means the certification should be seen as part of a larger growth path rather than a finish line. The knowledge behind it can shape how you study other topics, how you evaluate job roles, and how you listen to real-world security discussions. It can also help you recognize which skills to build next, such as communication, risk analysis, governance awareness, and broader organizational understanding. In that sense, CISM is valuable not only because of the letters themselves, but because of the mindset those letters are meant to represent. When you step back and look at the full picture, the real appeal of CISM is that it teaches a kind of security thinking that organizations consistently need. Companies do not succeed just because they buy tools or hire smart technologists. They succeed when they build security into decision-making, align it with business purpose, manage risk thoughtfully, prepare for incidents, and improve over time with discipline and accountability. That is the territory CISM is designed to address. For someone entering cybersecurity, that makes the certification worth understanding even before every exam detail is familiar. It offers a strong introduction to the leadership side of the field and helps explain why security management is distinct from purely technical defense. More importantly, it reminds us that cybersecurity is ultimately about helping organizations make good decisions under uncertainty, protect what matters most, and continue operating with trust and resilience. That is a meaningful goal, and it is why CISM continues to matter for people who want to build a serious future in security.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.